today's video is going to build off the objective we talked about previously, which is area and perimeter. So our objective for today's video is students will be able to find the area and perimeter of composite shapes. Students will be able to find the area and perimeter of composite shapes. Now, just like with any other video, as we go through this, if you're feeling like you need to copy something down, or you feel like you need to slow down, just pause the video, copy down any notes that you need to, and then resume. Okay, so let's get right into it. We're talking about composite shapes today. So I want you to go ahead and pause the video, write a title on the top of your notes, area of composite shapes, and copy down this diagram. Okay. So we're talking about composite shapes. Composite shapes means that there's two or more shapes. Think about your composite ACT score. We take all of your different ACTs from science, math, reading, and English, and we put them together to make one score. So a composite shapes is we took a couple of different shapes and we put them together to make one shape. Now whenever you're looking at a composite shape, we should look at this and say, okay, what kind of shapes do I see within here? I see here I kind of have a rectangle. Okay, if I were to divide this up here, and I see here I kind of have a square if I were to divide that up. So I'm saying, okay, this is a rectangle on top of a square. So we want to find the area of this composite shape. So in order to find the area, we can't find the area of this whole thing by just multiplying 10 times 8, because we would normally find the area of that, but this section of that rectangle is missing. So what can we do? Well, since we divided our rectangle up into our shape, up into a rectangle and a square, to find the area of the whole thing, we can find the area of the rectangle and add it to the area of the square. So we're going to do the area of the rectangle plus the area of the square. Okay, so let's go ahead and figure that out. Well, this is where it starts to get a little bit tricky, because I'm looking at this and saying, okay, right now I'm missing some sides, here and here. And those two sides are pretty crucial for me to be able to find the area of this rectangle, because I can't do 10 times 8, because 8 is the length of this whole side. I need to figure out what this side right here is. Okay, and this is where I need you to pay really close attention, because this is where it gets slightly tricky. This 8 is the same length as this, as if the rectangle went all the way up. This 4 takes up until here. If we were to think of this as this plus this, that should equal this entire side. So I'll say that again. This plus this should equal this entire side of 8. Because if we look, it's like they both go up to the same height, right? 4 plus this side we don't have over here, x, should equal 8. So to figure out that missing side, I'm just going to write an equation for myself. 4 plus x equals 8. Let's go ahead and solve for x. I'm going to minus 4 from both sides. So x is equal to 4. So we know that this side we're missing over here is 4. Okay. Now let's find this other missing side up here. This length of this whole thing is 10. So if our rectangle had gone all the way up, it would have been from here to here is 10. So we know that this 6 plus whatever this is, this x, is going to equal 10. I'm going to say that again. This 6 plus this x is going to equal 10. So let's write an equation. 6 plus x equals 10. So let's go ahead and solve for x. So x is going to equal 4. Now something I should do before I start is let's just make sure we have a length for every side. Okay, I'm going to go around the entire shape and make sure I have a length for every side. I do. So now let's go ahead and calculate the area. So the area is going to be the area of the rectangle times the area of the square. And we'll do the rectangle first. So I know I'm not going to use this measurement of 8 because I don't, that's the measurement of this whole thing. I just want to use this shape right here, which is a 4 by 10. So I know the measurement, how to find a rectangle is base times height, or length times width. So I'm going to do 4 times 10, 4 times 10, plus the area of the square, which is a 4 by 4, so 4 times 4. 4 times 10 is 40. 4 times 4 is 16. So what is the area? The area is going to be equal to 40 plus 16, so 56. And we don't have any units on here, so I'm just going to put units squared. Okay, and there's our area, units squared. All right, now let's talk about the perimeter, okay, because we also want to calculate the perimeter. Okay, we know, and we talked about previously, the perimeter is just the length all the way around the outside. Now, we've already done the hard work. We were missing some sides, and we found them already. So we don't have to do any extra work for the perimeter. We just need to add up all the sides. Now, when you're dealing with composite shapes, a key point I want you to remember for perimeter is to start at one side and go clockwise. Okay, start at one side and go clockwise. And here's the reason. I'm going to start right here, and then I'm going to move clockwise, which is in this direction. If you, for any reason, forgot to find the measurement of one of the sides, if you go clockwise in order, you will see that. So I'm going to start at the 4. I'm going to say, okay, 4 plus, I'm going clockwise, 8 plus 10 plus 4 plus 6 plus 4. Okay? By doing that in order, I made sure that I didn't forget any of the sides. So now, to find the perimeter, I'm going to go ahead and just add those up. So the perimeter is going to be equal to 4 plus 8 plus 10 plus 4 plus 6 plus 4, which is 36. And I have no units. I'm just going to write units. Okay, and there's our area and our perimeter. Let's go ahead and do one more example before I let you loose on a little bit of practice. All right, let's say we had a shape like this. Now I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, I can't just go ahead and find the area or the perimeter because I'm missing some things. Okay, I'm missing some different things. What two shapes do you see inside of this? What two shapes do you see inside of this one shape that kind of looks like a house? Well, I see a rectangle and I see a triangle. Right? Now, before we start any of this work, go ahead and pause the video. Make sure if you have any, if you need to pause to copy things down, that you do so. Okay. So we see this triangle, and I'm going to go ahead and just separate these shapes out. And the first thing I want to do is figure out the area. Now, I want to find the area. I want to find the perimeter. But I need to make sure that I've filled in all of my missing sides first. Now, I just filled in these two 5s for you. In order to find this last side, we would have had to use the Pythagorean theorem, which is a separate video. So I gave these two 5s. But we are missing this right here, and we're also missing this right here. So let's go ahead and figure those out. Well, I know that since this side is 5, this other side is going to have to be 5. Now I notice that this is 3, and then I have this whole length here missing, but I do have this whole length here. Right? I do have this whole I know this whole side is 7. So I know that this whole thing must be equal to 7. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to assume that this, from here to here, okay, we're going to call that x. So I'm going to say x plus 3 has to equal 7. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to solve for x. So x must equal 4. So I know that this whole piece right here, this x, has to equal 4. Now, in order to find the area of this triangle, we need to know the base, which is 4, and we need to know the height, which is 3. So that works. In order to find the area of this rectangle, we need to know the base and the height. We have both. So my area is going to be the area of my triangle plus the area of my square. So the area of the triangle plus the area of the, rectangle, not square. So let's remind ourselves of our formulas. To find the area of a triangle, we're going to do 1/2 base times height. And to find the area of a rectangle, we're going to do base times height. So let's go ahead and plug in our numbers. So 1/2, the base of our triangle was 4. The height of our triangle was 3. Plus, the base of our rectangle was 7. The height was 5. And then go ahead and evaluate this. So 1/2 times 4 times 3 gives me 6. 7 times 5 gives me 35. I'm going to add those together. 6 plus 35 gives me an area of 41. So my area is 41, and then don't forget your units. Units squared. All right, let's calculate the perimeter. We know the perimeter is going to be the length all the way around the outside of this shape. Remember, you should start at one side and then work your way clockwise so that you make sure you didn't forget anything. So I'm going to start right here on the 5. The perimeter is going to be 5 plus 5 plus 7 plus 5 plus 3 plus 5. And I'm going to go ahead and evaluate that. My perimeter is going to be equal to 5 plus 5 plus 7 plus 5 plus 3 plus 5, which is 30 units. So we have a perimeter of 30 units and an area of 41 units squared. Okay, let's do a couple of practice problems. Right? Alright, go ahead and pause the video, copy down these two examples. I've written in this length of this side right here for you because you would have to use the Pythagorean theorem, and that might not be a video you haven't watched yet. But you should be able to find the perimeter of this half circle. Think of that, half circle. Think about what perimeter means. Go ahead and pause the video, try these two examples, and then press play and you can see the answers. Okay, let's run through how to find these two. You should have divided up this shape right here. So we had a triangle and a square. A triangle and a rectangle. We know that since this side is 4, this side is 4. Now, since this is 8, and this whole thing needs to equal 12, what plus 8 will give you 12? Well, that is 4. So we know this right here is a 4. We need this measurement right here to finish calculating the area of our triangle. We know that this whole thing needs to equal 10. So 4 plus what will give us 10? 6. So the area of this is going to be the rectangle plus the triangle. So to find my rectangle, I'm going to do base times height, so 4 times 12. To find my triangle, I'm going to do 1/2 the base, which was 4, times the height, which was 6. So now I'm going to go ahead and calculate it. 4 times 12 gives me 48. 1/2 times 4 times 6 gives me 12. And 48 plus 12 gives me an area of 60 feet, because our units were feet, squared. To find the perimeter of this shape, I'm just going to add up all of the different sides. Remember, you should start on one side and work your way around. So I'm going to say, okay, 7.2 plus 8 plus 4 plus 12 plus 4 plus 6. I'm going to go ahead and add that up. So the perimeter is going to be equal to 7.2 plus 8 plus 4 plus 12 plus 4 plus 6, which gives me a perimeter of 41.2 units. So perimeter of 41.2. You should have had an area of 60 feet squared. Oops, I'm sorry. Should have written feet, not units. Okay, and for this perimeter, we're just dealing with feet. Okay, so area of 60 feet squared and perimeter of 41.2 feet. Alright, let's do this next one. First, I'm going to go ahead and calculate the area. Now, since this side right here is 1.5, okay, we know that this is 1.5. Now, this one is really tricky. We need to know what this is right here. Now, this is already divided up for us, which is nice. And we know that from here to here, okay, we need this length. We know that 9.2 is the length of this whole side. So this plus this needs to equal 9.2. So if I subtract 2.5 from 9.2, I know that the length of this is 6.7. Now this length, this right here, this is the diameter of my circle. And I know that the measurement, or the formula, I'm sorry, for circumference is either 2 pi r, or it could just be d pi, the diameter times pi. So if I know right now that this is a half a circle, I'm first just going to find the circumference as if we expanded this circle all the way around. So my circumference would be diameter, which was 6.7 times pi. Okay, I'm going to evaluate that on my calculator. 6.7 times pi. I'm going to round to the nearest whole number for us. So I'm just going to say it's a 21. That the length of this whole circle would be a 21. Now this is only half a circle. Okay, this is the circumference as if it was a whole circle. So if I divided that by 2, we should have gotten a 10.5. So the measurement of this right here should have been 10.5. Now, knowing that, we can calculate our area. Our area is going to be half our circle plus the rectangle. Okay, let's do our half circle first because that's a little bit harder. What is the formula for the area of a circle? Pi r squared. What is the area for a rectangle? Base times height.